Well, hello everyone. Got away with that one, didn't we, at the bridge? 2-2 draw in a game where we didn't play particularly well. That's what we're talking about today. A little bit of game review, throw in some player ratings as well. So, welcome back to the channel with me, Kieran, from Speaking Spurs, talking all things Tottenham. If you haven't done so already, please smash that subscribe button. Shows massive support if you haven't done so already. Don't forget to support the video with a like if you enjoyed the content, and as always, leave your comments below to keep the conversation going. So, let's talk about the game in which Thomas Tuchel and Antonio Conte were both sent off. Tempers flared after Harry Kane's last gasp equaliser, which earned us the unlikeliest of points in a pulsating 2-2 draw with Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Tuchel, well, what can we say? His tactical masterclass allowed Chelsea to take hold, with Jorginho and Kante anchoring a fluid and threatening 3-4-3 formation, which we just couldn't simply get to grips with. They pretty much dominated most of the first half. We had to make our changes to have an impact on the game, which we'll talk about later. But 19 minutes in, Koulibaly's thumping volley from a Cucurella corner had given Chelsea what really was a deserved lead from their first half dominant display. But we somehow stayed in contention and equalised when Højbjerg's drilled shot punished that Jorginho mistake in the penalty area. And Conte actually spoke after the game about the fact that he's encouraging his midfielders to get forward more and take more shots from the edge of the box. We've seen it a couple of times from Højbjerg now, and he's certainly taking more chances than he was when he first came to us. However, Conte's exuberant celebration after that goal, outside of his technical area, angered Tuchel, and the Chelsea boss responded when Reece James scored in the 77th minute to restore their lead. Took them 2-1, streaking past the Italian and down the touchline to celebrate with the Chelsea fans. However, Tuchel, although he looked like he was going to have the last laugh, didn't. Kane's dramatic stoppage time equaliser lit the fuse for the final confrontation between the coaches. And that came about mainly because of the Romero situation where he'd pulled Cucurella's hair in the build-up. This game kind of had it all. It had, a dominant team. Then it had the underdog fighting their way through it. I actually felt like there was quite a lot of dirtiness down that left-hand side from Chelsea, which was obviously attacking our right. Cucurella, I thought, was quite feisty the whole game, so the fact that he got something back to him says it all. But, it would have been impossible for us not to improve in the second half after our disjointed first half performance. But the progress we made, it was laborious. It did take us a long time. I would say we remained pretty poor up until the point Richarlison came on and added energy into the team. Now, I'm not going to say, Richarlison came on and played ridiculously well, because from a footballing sense, it wasn't anything amazing. He just showed some effort, desire, ran around, pushed hard. There was one moment when he was closing down from the front, just out of nowhere. Ball was played out and he comes flying down, pressures and makes this great sliding block to press from the front that sent the ball out for a throw-in. But for me, that really helped set the tone towards the end of the game. I felt that we were quite poor in possession throughout the game. Definitely could have been better. We were rushing a lot of things, almost like we were panicking to try and get into this game, but all we were doing is forcing passes and giving the ball straight back to a team that were dominating us, which was stupid. But Conte did change the tactics. He went to a back four, and it obviously worked for a little while because we got back into the game. However, for their second goal, the Reece James one on 77 minutes, you could tell that the formation, although it had worked to bring us forward in an attacking sense, defensively, I don't think we quite adjusted, because when you look back at the replay from the goal, our centre-backs at the time, so it would have been Romero and Dyer, they both drifted across, and normally you'd have had Ben Davies to cover. But what happened in that situation, they'd been drawn right into it, because we had the four at the back, they'd gone across. So you've got three of them over there, including the right back. Then Ben Davies makes the decision to come across to cover where Sterling's going to be, which then leaves the gap at the back post where Reece James was moving into. So Ben Davies comes across. He has to go for Sterling. If he doesn't go for Sterling, he's got a route through on goal himself. But the problem is, the second he goes to Sterling, Reece James just makes a nice little run back post. Then he's got all the time in the world to take a touch and slot it into the back of the net, which he did. Now, if you actually look at the replays, what I noticed from that, not only does everybody get dragged across, which means Ben Davies hasn't got a choice, so I'm not blaming Davies whatsoever for this. He has no choice but come across and take care of Sterling. But if you look further up the field, Sonny is out of position. In that situation, what should have happened, Ben Davies has every right to go to the man he's going to. Then the left winger at the time, which is Sonny, needs to then drop back, and he should have been the man tracking Reece James. And you would have noticed straight after that goal, Conte made some substitutions. Now I'm wondering, was Sonny taken off purely for his part in that goal and not covering and coming back? We know Antonio Conte demands a lot of his players physically. I just wonder in the back of my mind, is that the reason we saw Sonny come off? Let's talk about some of the possible controversies in the game. For our first goal, there's the foul on Havertz. From the ref's angle, which they did actually show, it looked like a clean tackle. He comes around the side, you see the ball move across this way. So to the referee, it looks like it's a clean tackle. He's wrapped around, he's got the ball changes direction. It's only when you look at the replays from the other side, you can see clearly, man, then the ball. So, yes, it was a foul. So I can understand why Tuchel's angry. However, that is losing the ball down the end of the pitch with the striker. The ball, 44 seconds later, ends up in the back of the net. Now, in that time, and this is why it wasn't taken back, the goal was allowed to stand, it wasn't just the fact that it was 44 seconds. It's the fact that in that time, one player up there losing the ball. Now, there wasn't loads of players up with him. He was pretty much on his own. In the time that he lost the ball, Chelsea have enough time defensively to get back into their shape. There was only one player out of the game at that point, and it's not like we had 11 men in the box queuing up to finish that. But it wasn't, so therefore, goal stands. Second controversy, just with the first goal, was Richarlison offside? Now, it's been a bit of a debate. VAR, once again, deemed it not to have had an effect on it. So what they're saying, offside position, he doesn't touch the ball, but is he covering the goalkeeper's eyesight? Now, the shots come from the outside of the box. Some players and pundits have been saying that in that situation, they believe Richarlison was interfering with the eye line of Mendy. And the fact that the goals from outside of the box shouldn't really come into it, because the power that players hit the ball at is, a lot more than what we will in Sunday League. Look, my argument would be this. Yes, the ball was from outside of the box. Yes, Richarlison was in an offside position. But when I watch it back, Mendy was already missighted by players further on the inside of the shot. I don't really think Richarlison was the biggest problem. Once the ball goes past Richarlison, it hits a Chelsea player before it goes in anyway, which slightly changes the direction. So yeah, goal stood. Now, let's talk about the second goal. So Romero, the incident with Cucurella, the hair pull. Is that a foul? Of course it's a foul. He pulled his hair. But Cucurella was given as good as he got as well. There was a lot of tussling, pushing, pulling in the box. Cucurella had been given it all game down the left-hand side, pushing people around, over excessive tackles. You will actually see that in the build-up to a Chelsea goal, Cucurella actually stands on Romero's leg. And we all know Christian Romero does not forget. And he did not forget. And he took his revenge. And then we all know what happened. Harry Kane scores in August. He obviously had a good pre-season, and I was worried after the first game that his chances that he had were a bit weak, a bit tame. I was worried that we were going to watch Harry Kane fail to score again in the first month of the season. However, off the mark, in injury time, in a London derby, to give us what is a vital point at the end of the day. before the game, if we'd have been offered a point, I think sensible fans would have taken the point. We don't do traditionally well at Chelsea. We hadn't beaten them at their place since 2018. And even before that, it's not a place we pick up points at very often. So I think a lot of us would have taken it. It is a massive point, especially considering how we played. But this is the important thing. Although we didn't play particularly well in that game, what was good about it is that we managed to get a result without playing well. Obviously, in the game against Southampton at home, we played really well. We still went a goal down, but we came back. We thought, we smashed them. But in this game, to have that character to come back not once but twice against a Chelsea team that have a manager that is very tactically aware, it's brilliant. So let's talk about the incidents between the managers. I think the reason Tuchel was angry about the first one was because of the foul on Havertz, and then Conte's celebration right by them probably didn't help things, and it kind of come to blows. At that point, they were then both yellow carded. The players all come over and get involved, and I always find this one really funny when players come over and get involved because they have no idea what's going on. They come in, start pushing people around and getting involved. Not a clue. They have not got a clue. So they were both booked then. Then Tuchel, when they went 2-1 up, obviously ran all the way down the line. The emotions got the better of him to celebrate with the Chelsea fans. Should he have been booked for that? Yes, he should. He'd left his technical area, ran past our manager, celebrating with the fans. Yes, he should have been yellow carded again and sent off. But at the same time, I can understand why the referee didn't send him off. Heat of the moment after what had happened as well. I think he let that one slide. Also, he didn't really try and antagonise Conte on the way past. He just ran straight down towards the fans. So we'll let him have that one. But then the end of the game. This is the weird one for me, that the referee takes the decision to send both managers off because, you see, if you've watched it, Conte walks past and he does the typical, I don't want to shake your hand, but I'm going to shake it. And then he continues to try and walk, and Tuchel does not let go of his hand for some reason, and then tries to stare him down in the face. And at which point Conte then loses it because he's like, let go of me hand, whatever else he was saying. And then everybody gets involved again, and for some reason the referee actually sends off Conte before he sent off Tuchel. Now, the referee didn't get an understanding of the situation beforehand, but I think after the first incident they probably would have both seen red anyway. However, Conte wasn't the instigator in the second instance. But look, that's it. Game done. We get a vital point when others... some other teams are taking initiative and they're picking up their points, like Man City. Obviously, we saw Liverpool last night have Nunes sent off for a stupid headbutt. You can't be doing that against Anderson. But they somehow managed to come back from being 1-0 down from what was a very, very good goal, Crystal Palace. And then, Diaz done what he does and got an amazing equaliser to get him back in the game. But they haven't got maximum points from their first two games. Manchester United are obviously capitulating completely, which is hilarious. But yeah, I'm happy-ish. It would have been great if we could have got the win, but it's enough. But let's move on to player ratings from the game. We'll talk about the players individually. So Hugo Larisse, he did well to save Havertz's effort with an outstretched foot, but then had no chance with Koulibaly's volley from the resulting corner. He didn't have another save to make until Chelsea's second goal, when James's body shape fooled him as he dived underneath the ball. He comes away with a 5. Christian Romero, some strong challenges but also some hesitant touches during the encounter, and a late mad moment when he pulled Cucurella's hair in the Chelsea box. He gets a 6. Eric Dyer, some shaky moments out of possession with his decision making and rushed out to leave Davis alone for Chelsea's second goal, but also a couple of big tackles, and he was a major presence in the Chelsea box late on, so he gets a 6. Ben Davies, left all on his own, as we know, for the second goal with 2 men at the back to handle after Spurs had switched to the back 4. And we just never looked comfortable in the back 4. It benefited the midfield and further on. However, he did tee up Højbjerg to grab an assist, and it was his header at the end that Mendy needed to tip over and it led to the corner that Kane scored from. So Ben Davies, he comes away with 6. So that's fair enough, really. But he did play his part in an attacking sense. Emerson Royale had some good moments defensively, but added very little going forward. He gets a 6. And I feel like that's a constant theme we're going to have with him. Every now and again, he might have a good game where he does something in an attacking sense and provides. But the majority of the time, he's a traditional right back. He's always going to be better defensively than he is going forward. It is what it is. Bentancur. Some composed moments early on, but he struggled under the intensity of the match in the second half. And it was his tackle, which replays showed he just about touched the ball, that sparked Chelsea's anger before our equaliser. And I'm talking about the Havertz situation. He did just touch the ball, but he actually clipped the ankles of Havertz first. He comes away with a 5. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, our Viking. He played Kane through on goal for a big second half chance, and then he grabbed our equaliser with a clinical low strike into the bottom left hand corner. He comes away with a 7. Ryan Sessegnon, tough day. He was overloaded down his flank, put through soon after Chelsea's first half opener, but saw his effort saved by Mendy. He covered well to stop a Sterling break through the middle before half time, but he was then beaten too easily down his flank a couple of times. He came off before the hour mark for Richarlison, and he gets a 5. Kulusevski, he could have put Son away with a better pass early on, battled away but didn't have anywhere near the quality of his previous performances. He also gets a 5. Harry Kane put Sessegnon through on goal in the first half with a quickly taken free kick, and then played Son in with a curling pass after the break. Had a huge chance just after the hour mark when he put clean through, but then fired low and well wide. But he made up for it later with that header that flew in off James's thigh. He gets a 7. Sonny struggled to control the ball in the first half, but made a good run in the second period that ended with a shot that Mendy saved. He came off for Perisic in the second half after the second goal that I've already said I thought may have had something to do with him coming off. So that's a 5. Talk about the subs. Richarlison came on for his Spurs debut before the hour mark, and he made a difference with his work rate and a bite in the challenge. Really lifted the rest of the players, and I think that's the key to it. It was just his effort made all the other Spurs players think, we're going to have to step up the intensity here, because otherwise he's going to make us look bad. So he gets a 7. Perisic also gets a 7. He worked hard down the left, and it was his corner that Kane headed home late on. And then the other new boy, Yves Bissouma, he replaced Bentancur and tried to make an impression. It was his deflected shot that kept the run of late corners going. So he gets a 6. So yeah, a bit of a mixed bag with the players there. It just wasn't good enough on the day, was it? The passing was very rushed. I think the occasion got the better of us. I think we know that, Chelsea is a team that we obviously struggled against massively last season. With failing to score, not beating them, losing that run of games where we played them 3 times in very quick succession. So maybe there was a mental edge to it. And although it's easy to say, look, we're a different team, we're playing better, Conte's implemented certain things, and yeah, it is easy to say that, but mentally it's a completely different way of looking at things. It's a different game, so yeah, it's disappointing, but the fact is we still came away with a point, which, as I said, most sensible fans would have taken before the game. The optimists in there would have said, no, we want the win. And yes, we do want the win, but look, it's still a process, and there's going to be a lot of teams that struggle against Chelsea this season, and many of them are going to be the teams in and around the top 6 as well. Like, Chelsea are a good team. Tuchel is a fantastic manager, so we should be proud that our boys, despite the way we played, managed to come away with the draw, which gives me all the confidence that when they come to our place, we will win. We really will. I think we are in a great place right now. It's a good evolution. We've got a good run of games coming up. And if you haven't seen that video, I've spoken about in the last one about our games upcoming. So just skip all the pre-game Chelsea talk and move into that, where I talk about what all the people around us have got. I talk about our games, Chelsea's games, Arsenal's and Manchester United's. They're the teams that should be in and around us, vying for the third and fourth spots. So yeah, skip the first part, which is about just the Tottenham-Chelsea game, and move into the latter part of that video, and that will tell you all about, what we've got coming up. So thanks for sticking around. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know below what you thought of the game and what you think of the games we've got coming up. But yeah, thanks for sticking around. I have been Kieran from Speaking Spurs. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment. Until next time, come on you Spurs.